Hi, I'm Ztarli, and in this video I'll be returning to a picture I drew as part of a Speedpaint snack, which is basically a video I do where I limit myself to 1 hour for a drawing. So I'll be revisiting this picture and we'll take off from where the video ended. So if you want to see the first part of this drawing, then you will need to look up the Speedpaint snack video for it. And this was actually the first one of my Speedpaint snacks. So if you I'll have the link up the top so you can just quickly go back and have a look at it. It's only a very short video because the Speedpaint was only an hour long. So now I've brought up the uncropped version of this picture. You can see that I did not finish most of this picture. That when I did the 1 hour speed paint, I did bite off more than I could chew in trying to draw a full dragon, but did not get time to detail the whole thing. So I did actually just crop it to the neck and tail, but I've reopened this one as the uncropped version so I can do the whole dragon. And essentially the idea here is I'm just going to spend as much time on it as I need to until I feel like the picture is fully completed. So this one actually took me an additional 5.5 hours on top of the hour speed paint I did. So it ended up being a 6.5 hour picture. But as with most of my pictures, when I spend this amount of time on it, I'm actually super happy with how it ended up. And I'm super pleased with how this background turned out as well. I did look at a couple of reference pictures of just like rocky riverbeds and stuff to get a feel for what the background should look like before I drew it, but I didn't have any of them up when I was drawing this picture, so I just sort of made this up, and I was very pleased at how quickly it came together and how simple it was for me to get the idea across that, you know, this was like a woodland on the edge of a stream or something like that. And at the end of the video, I do some final touches to the background, and I think I improve it even more, and I try not to blur it too much because I was really happy with it, but because it's not meant to be the focus, I do blur it a tiny bit so that the dragon stands out more. Now there are a few main brushes that I use during this picture. For the dragon itself, I use one of the standard brushes that comes with Artflow, but in the background I use 2 custom brushes that I made myself, so you won't find them in Artflow's standard one. They are ones I personally made. And once again, if you want to know how I made them, there is a video on how I made custom brushes in Artflow. One of the biggest problems I have with these little quick speed paints is because I'm very time conscious, that, you know, I'm not going to have much time to do anything, and I know painting takes me the longest. I tend to severely rush the sketch, and the sketch for this was pretty poor. So the anatomy of the dragon was completely off. So you can see now I'm basically just cutting all the pieces of this dragon up and repositioning them so they make more sense. I actually spent quite a long time trying to figure out how to do muscles correctly for like dragon wings attaching to the body. I wasn't sure which way I should do it, if I should have the wing coming in front of the leg or going behind. In the end, I decided to sort of have them joining, but the wing part itself is sort of joining a little bit behind, and you see the shoulder muscle goes over where the wing bone joins onto the body. I was very happy with how it ended up, but I did spend a long time sort of looking up muscle structures for birds and bats, and also how other people had drawn dragons, because I do want to try and improve on how my anatomy looks and try and make sure that I am actually always getting better with my art and that I'm not becoming stagnant. So I will often look at reference pictures to try and improve on how my artwork looks. For those who missed it, I did have a poll up on my Twitter account to find out which of the speed paints, the 1 hour speed paints, I should return to and actually make into a proper picture. And I do plan on doing this in the future as well. So at the turn of each month, there'll be a poll that goes up with all the speed paints that I drew during that month. And you'll get to vote to say which one I should return to and make into a fully finished picture like I've done with this one. I like how the silhouette of the frill came out on this one. I think it looks kind of cool. I'm not sure if you'd actually be able to see that through the membrane, but I still think it looks cool. You can see me now trying to decide on those muscles for the wings, sort of just like sketching stuff out for a while before I decide to make a decision. So a lot of this stuff is all on its own layer. I created a layer above it so I could freely paint and sort of decide where things would go without having to lose the detail I'd already put on the dragon itself. So a lot of this stuff is all on its own layer, and then when I'm finally happy with the positioning of the muscles and everything, I merge it back all together and continuing with the detailing. There are still other things I have to fix, so I decide that the heads ended up too small because I've basically enlarged the wings and the body of the dragon and left the head small. So I now have to adjust the size of the head and make it slightly larger, and then adjust the throat and neck to line up with a larger head that I've drawn in. This dragon's skin was meant to be black. It was supposed to be a black and gold dragon with a blue frill, but the more I played with it and added more colors into it, the more it became a sort of blue-gray dragon with like dark scales. In the end, I just gave way to it and decided that it wasn't a black dragon after all, and so now it's called the blue and gold dragon instead of the gold and black dragon. But I did do a lot of color adjusting in this as well, because it felt like the picture felt very flat, probably because of the rushed start it had. So I decided to make 2 more layers that I adjust the colors on. So in a moment I'm going to make a highlight layer and a shadow layer by duplicating the existing colored layer, and then I change the properties on it to make it a lighter layer. And I do the same thing and make a darker layer, and then I erase away the parts that shouldn't be in light or in shadow. So essentially I just get my big fluffy round brush and erase away all the shadows. Like I do the highlight layer first, and I erase away where the shadows would be from the highlight layer, and then I do the opposite for the shadow layer. So I erase away where the light would be hitting on the shadow layer, and I merge them all together again and continue on painting. I've decided his horns weren't big and spectacular enough, so decided to make them grow, so they grew longer, and now they have like sort of antler twisting horns, and of course they're gold, and I really enjoy, I've said this in other videos, but I really enjoy coloring gold, which I guess is why I chose gold for the original speed paint for this. But yeah, I really enjoyed coloring those twisting gold sort of antlers it has. I also try adding even more highlights because I wanted to try and push the boundaries a bit. So I put this like orangey layer on it, but in the end I decided I didn't like it, and I didn't like it with any other properties on, so I actually just end up deleting it and then just manually adding my own highlights in instead. So I just sort of slap a bunch of color on and then blur it together, and I just keep doing that for a while until I'm happy with how much light is in the areas that are in the sunlight, and then now it's time for scales, with lots and lots of scales, which I also really like doing. I guess like I really like doing these dark sort of blacky blue shiny scales all over the lighter skin. So it was kind of just a really enjoyable picture to do, even though it took me so long. I was really enjoying it, especially when I got parts right. Like I felt like, you know, I looked up things and I tried to get better at things, and I actually felt like I achieved what I was setting out to do, and I was really happy with the parts that I'd tried harder on and that I'd referenced and tried to improve my art in that way. I kind of felt like this picture sort of, I achieved what I set out to do, which is something I don't often do, to be honest. So yeah, I was quite happy with especially how the wing and the light looks coming through the wings, and how the wing attaches to the body. and the scales on the body. I was happy with most of it. I'm very happy with this picture, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Got a couple ideas on what I'm going to do next. I was thinking about doing another micro feather dragon picture, but like with fluffy little chicks. But then I started having nightmares about painting feathers again. So I don't know. Maybe I'll still do it, but limit the amount of time I draw it, because the micro feather dragon's one of my longest pictures. It looks great and I really love it. I think it looks like I really like all the colors in it and stuff, but it took me a long time, and it took me a long time to get the feathers right. And drawing like a bunch of them all at once might take me a long time to do, so I'm not sure. I don't think I'll do that one next. I have had another thought of redrawing some of my art that's now hitting its 10-year mark. So around this time 10 years ago, I sort of like had, I guess, an epiphany with my art where I'd started spending ridiculous amount of time doing it. It's like I had these pictures I spent 20 hours on, but basically what happened during that time is I learned how to do my own paintery style. Like I finally felt like I'd gotten this paintery style that I'd always wanted to be able to do. I'd finally achieved that. And although the artworks all took me a very, very long time to do, I was happy with how they looked and how the painting of them looked. And since that point in time, I've like painted the same way. I just got a lot quicker at it. So I'm thinking of redrawing some of the pictures I drew around that time. It was actually an incredibly stressful time for me. But I think it might be fun to revisit those older pictures and redraw them. I don't plan on spending long on them. I plan on drawing chibi versions of them. But I have a particular one in mind that's like it's very colourful and rainbowy, and I think it would be fun to redraw. So I might redraw that, or say I might do some more Day Dragon stuff, and I'll just sort of decide what I want to do next. I do plan on trying to get a bit ahead of my videos. I kind of got behind a bit, so I used to have a week buffer and now I don't. So I'm going to try make a shorter, not quite as short as the Speedpaint snack videos, but like a shorter one so that I can get a week ahead and not trying to finish pictures like the day I'm supposed to upload the videos. And now just adding the final touches to the pictures. So I'm just adding those final touches to the background, which I think really sort of brought it all together. And I'm really, really happy with this background, as I said earlier in the piece. And then I'm just making some fade outs for the parts of the dragon that would be further away, and just blurring a couple of pieces here and there. And then the picture's pretty much done. I just recenter the dragon because I thought the framing was a little off, and just filled in the hole that I'd left where I hadn't bothered to paint the background. And then the picture's done. And yeah, so I'm really happy with how this came out. I think it looks pretty good. Here's the old one next to it so you can see what it looked like before. So the one on the left is 1 hour. The one in the middle is 6.5. Well, thanks everybody for watching. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more. I also have a Patreon if you'd like to support me. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!